Kupa ma kumukahi. Inui ka vai a kanea. Ka vai a ka niu, ka vai a ka awa, ka vai a ka ua. Eia no ma puna e. Aloha mai kako. My name is Ana Khan. I am of lineal descent of here, of Poho'iki and Keahelaka, which is down the road. I am probably the 13th generation that I can name of that Aina and that space. My grandmother, you know that red house at Poho'iki, is the home of my great grandmother. However, that's the domain of my kupuna and what brings me to home, what keeps me here. I am also raised on 3 different islands. I was raised on Oahu, I was raised here, and on Kauai. My father is a fire captain, retired from the Federal Fire Department. He also was a fisherman and a hunter, and he liked everything nature. So with his raising, I was pretty fortunate to, actually grateful, even now speaking, because he's passed about 5 weeks ago. But because of him, he was one of my greatest teachers. So my dad provided a lot of my connections to space and place in my upbringing. My mom too, she's a homemaker, hula dancer, but we're fortunate my dad was able to have my mom at home, and she reared me most of my life at home. So a lot of those foundations were set in place for me. That's who I am. The lands that I've been at was there. This presentation today is about Ko'i Honua, and I'm just going to give you a little different things in my own experiences, but also share with you the different aspects of what Ko'i Honua is in one way, in one form, however I can share, not just my life experiences, but what I've learned and what I've grown to know today. So thank you folks for being here. Do I press? Where do I press?
I think the space bar. Or
okay.
Yeah.
Space bar. Magic. So Ko'i Honua, Ko'i means an adds, it means just something to dig. And so we think on a different metaphor. What is a Ko'i Honua? And what is the carving? It means to carve, it means to chisel, it means to break down, and the literal meanings is to also projecting as a forehead. So there's many Hawaiian, we all have been around, I'm sure, enough to know that Hawaiian language has many different meanings and intents, and therefore the imageries that we see foresee. So, and Honua means land, earth, base, foundation, and for firmly established. So for me, and yes, this picture really identifies the chiseling of our earth and the changes that go on, but so does it for myself and my family when I was born. So in likeness, as a native indigenous Hawaiian, it's very important that kind of use the land and the different aspects that we were raised with or things to self-identify and how it gives us growth and stuff. So I share today about those things that help us. In likeness, I hope my sharing will help you to identify who you are and what you are, and understand the connections and what being in Hawaii is, what it means to me, what it means in very different contexts, but also how does that relate to you, because I'm a teacher as well, and if I'm not teaching, then I'm not living for me today. But I like to talk about the different experience of this Ana Kalakia. He was a master taro farmer. He lived in Waipio Valley, and there's some things I learned so much from him. I spent a lot of time in his past. So I'm a taro farmer. I was raised around taro for the last 30 years. Lived in the valley for at least 20 years of my life, and farmed taro. But I learned a lot from my teacher, Kia Fanda. He's a very, when we talk today about Halo, and we talk about Ko'i Honua, and we talk about these different things, I can only refer to these people that have reared me to where I'm at today. The other one is Ed Kanahele. Anybody heard of Ed Kanahele? Yeah? He's a scholar. He's a Superman to me. They're all Superman, but he's super in his intelligence. He's also mentored me. And so when I was first semester in college at UH Hilo, and he taught history 151. He had class and he said, does anybody need extra credit? You know, we're like past the midterm already. And I was like, yes, I need extra credit. I'm doing hard D. And then he's like, good, I'm happy you want to do extra credit. So he said, comments, you know, look up Kaho'olawe and see what you like about it, and look at the issues that are going on Kaho'olawe and write a paper on it. I give you extra credit. I said, okay, I can do that. So I did a paper on it. I went back to him and I said, okay, I did my paper. He read it. He said, oh, good. Okay, you get the extra credit. He's like, you want more credit? I was like, yeah, I'm hitting a D. Like, I need more extra credit. And so I did. He said, you take this paper and you come to the community center at in Hilo, or actually the county building, and give your presentation. Because at the time, at this time, I want to say in the late 1980s, maybe early 1990s, Kaho'olawe was still being bombed and desecrated, and a lot of the lands were still being misused, and a lot of the spaces were really damaged by impact and of these different activities. And so I said, okay. So I went, and he was there. I did my presentation, and then he came out and he said, okay, you get your extra credit. I said, okay. He said, but we'll come Monday, come see me. So came around Monday, and he's like, hey, come see me after class. I said, yeah, I'm coming. And so after class, I went to see him, and he told me, you want to go to Kaho'olawe? And I was like, what? He said, do you want to go to Kaho'olawe? Then I was like, oh yeah, why not, right? Young, you know, don't have kids, like, life is great, and go to Kaho'olawe. And I went. And he said, come to my house next week, and I got some stuff for you. So you don't pay nothing, you just go. And so I went to his house. And when I went to his house, he said, okay, here's a chant. Here's some things you gotta know. Here's the thing. This is your flight, and go. And I went, and it changed my life. I had a whole, what I thought was going to be, didn't be. What I thought was be a nice camping trip was actually experience the desecration to an island. And it changed my life forever. From that moment on, I really dove into what Aloha Aina is. I spent a lot of years, at least dedicated 10 years of my life to be on island to do restoration and different projects there. I also went to Texas A&M. I took the out class to develop my UXO and get certified UXO and cleanup and different things, and spent a good 3 years cleaning up the island on Kaho'olawe. But that really turned my life around. And then this is in the early 90s. So I have great appreciation. He then became my mentor, because as I was going back and forth, he was telling me, okay, learn this, and you learn this, and this is the chant for this, and the ceremony is coming for this, and he really guided me. At the same time, Kia Franda in Waipio, where I was going when I'd be home, he was doing similar Aina things, but we were planting and growing Kalo and doing different things around those things. And then Anakala Kaya Anahaili, he was also a mentor of mine. He was a Hawaiian studies teacher at HCC. And he too, he did a lot of EIS and different environmental issues or statements and different things and assessments on the island, on this island, and develop the other aspects of Aina, Aloha Aina. What is Aloha Aina? What is it? It is to be connected to a space, and what is the responsibility of being in Hawaii, period, and the different perspectives that's important for us. Then Anakala Tani Manor, he was an uncle of mine, and he taught me how to take apart a transmission and put it back together and run my truck. He also showed me how to cut trees, how to be connected to Aina and understand the life of a tree. But he was my other uncle that spent time, but I'm so grateful for these men. And then currently this uncle of mine is still alive, Lawrence Pedro, but he's also a fisherman. My dad was a master fisherman, so nets and do different things. But my uncle and him were partners in fishing, and today I see him regularly. He's also a retired vet, and also I go to see him weekly to talk story and just be in connection with fishing things. And then I didn't mention one more. I have one uncle that lives next to me. His name is Bill Hale, and he is currently 94 years old. He's probably one of my oldest kupuna I have alive today, and he's my neighbor. But he is also was the last caretaker of our family Aina down here at Kahanaka. And so these people, I say, because what I share and tell those stories is really of in life what and who we're crossroads with, and how I was very fortunate to have these kinds of teachers to really steer me in ways that I will always be grateful for. We're very fortunate. Like, I consider people that live in Pono and in Pono, we're very fortunate to be amongst the birthing of land all the time. Yeah. That we're very fortunate that our land changes, constantly, and that we're very much alive, and we're very lucky to have that. That is probably what makes it different from a lot of other places in Hawaii and around, is because we live with energy force and the creation of land on the everyday. So, this is one of many ko'ihonuas, and as I thought about it, I want to teach you guys a ko'ihonua. How many of you heard this one before? And it goes like this. Oh, awesome. It goes, o ake ana hoi a papa, hanao moku. Hanao Hawaii he moku, hanao Maui he moku. Hoi ho o ake ana hoi a hoho kukalani, hanao Molokai he moku, hanao lana I ka ula he moku. Lili o pupu nā lua o papa ia hoho kukalani, hoi ho papa noho ia wākea. Hanao o ahu he moku, hanao o Kauai he moku, hanao ni hao he moku, he ula a o ka ho'olā. So in this, literally, this chant talks about wakia, or some may say, some people want to call it the Hawaiian drama, but it's about wakia and Sky Father and all the elemental things that are above us. Yeah, and that with that, he begot and sat with Papa. And Papa is known as the foundation of things, and together they created these islands. Yeah, and the islands evolved, and the rain and the elements chiseled koi, the islands, and made what became. As for the English, you say we begotten this island, and this island was begotten. That's true in different times. Yeah, it's one of these chants that can stand the test of time, and we can reflect on it to give us notion of what happened then is still happening today. That if we take these imageries and thoughts, that we can also translate it into who we are today. Some say ohana comes from oha, meaning it's the keiki of the Kalo, and na, meaning many. Yeah, this is my son, this is my niece, this is my family, but they're cleaning Kalo for a birthday party. But some of you guys know these people. This is what ohana looks like, malama. So some of the values of Hawaiians and us, as malama doesn't just mean take care. Malama also means to work together, so that together we'll be able to sustain, that we're able to continue some of the things that we have to maintain. Or we say kuleana. Yeah. How many of you heard that word kuleana? Yeah. Kuleana means that we have a responsibility, and the responsibility is to take care and maintain, to sustain ourselves, yeah, and through this action of malama. Kuleana, talked about kuleana, and so kuleana, can look like many ways, and in my time, kuleana can also look like a heavy burden, but it doesn't always have to be. And today I'm fortunate, of course I'm a teacher, long time, 30 years. The last maybe 5 years or so I started mentoring, but when I started mentoring, or before that, maybe 10 years, maybe 11, 12 years now, this boy that's here today became my apprentice to do college. And apprenticeship for him, not only eating sushi, which is the best fish I had, but also to take on the kuleana of learning and taking the time out to do taro and to do kalo and plant kalo. So he plants kalo, he fish kalo, he lives kalo, he lives different things. So today I asked him to come and present, to do kui'ai and talk about haloa. So everybody say haloa.
Haloa.
So haloa is, or say haloa,
Haloa.
kalau,
Kalo.
kapalili.
Kapali.
Yeah, and in our mo'olelo and in our oli, it talks about that. And it talks about how the kalo is that's sustenance for us in life. And how our relationship, and the extension of this one chant talks about haloa. And haloa being the first progenitor of the Hawaiian race. And haloa has been that staple for us as Hawaiians. When we identify ourselves to something in nature, it is true Kalo in Hawaii. After the islands and these were created and these things, Ho'okukalani and Wakia got together again. And in this time, they needed to now finish. We have the land, we have the skies, but we needed the Kanaka, the human, to be here. And so they got together and they created what we call the first Hawaiian. And that one baby was born, stillborn. And we took the plant, and then the mole, I said they buried it, they planted it, and up came the Kalo. And then that was the first Hawaiian, which is the taro plant. And then they still needed the Kanaka to be on land. They still needed the human to interact and cultivate and be part of this cycle or this system. And so they got back together, and then they had another Kanaka, another Hawaiian, the second born, which was called Haloa. The firstborn is called Haloa Naka Kalau Kapalili. The second one is called Haloa, which is just a Hawaiian. And therefore, us as Hawaiian and in our generations eat Kalo. Why is it that Hawaiians gotta eat poi, at a baby luau? It's to connect us to our Aina. Why is it that at weddings we have this? Why is it ceremony that it becomes something important? Yeah, and it's to not just connect us to that storyline, but also connects us to the relationship to why Hawaii is one part of the bigger things. Yeah, and we have many native plants. We have many plants that we connect to, but it's this relationship and connection that keeps us excited, and we're giving it respect. There's 300 native varieties today. I mean, in Hawaii, native Hawaii. There's 3,000 in the world, and yes, they interchange and different. Like now, today's time they do hybrids and they do all these things to it. Yeah. However, the Kalo is very much native Kalo. There's 300 varieties. There is about 75 that is thriving, that are common. However, there's a lot that we've lost maybe, or not as or rare. Yeah. Fortunately, there's some people that kept like arboretums. There's one in Hana. There's a place in Honolulu called Papahana Ko'ola. And they're focused on just native varieties. I know I worked at Papahana for a few years, and they had, when I was there, we had 50 native Hawaiian varieties, and these varieties are really conducive to their space. So they have ones that's named after fish, They're named manini and these things, and you eat it, it tastes like a fish. You get one that's called ka'ohe, and the kind of tastes like a bamboo shoot, And then we're very today, because of commercialized and a lot of the changes in society. So the favorite one became lehua, moi, and these ones that's very sweet, and then that's how we lost a lot of the varieties. I was raised in the valley with only like 8 varieties, because the one was for eat, poi, and this one was for kulolo, and this one was for taro leaf, and then this one was a commercial one for sale to make money, and then these are these ones that in when you get to raised like that, like we used to combine different varieties to get a certain taste. We'll take this one for the sweet, or we'll take this one uppy for the texture, and then we'll mix it together because then we have a, our own kind of taste and flavor. But the varieties are a bit more now. It was about 30 years ago we started to more people started doing taro. I've been doing taro for many years in presentation, sharing, worked in Napopo and worked in different areas to promote the farming of taro, to promote the varieties and to eat more of it. So today I'm happy to say, because in my younger years there was a time of scarcity because no one was farming it. The lifestyle was hard. There was a change in times or plantation, and now these places changed from plantation to from taro farming to plantation, and then from plantation to NYPO to Parker Ranch, and doing different trades because it's just a change of time. However, in the last 20 years, there's been a great push for people to farm Kalo, for people to eat Kalo, eat their native foods, and we're now happy to say that there is at least many koi boards today. There's many pohaku. There's many more people farming. A lot of farming Kalo, and then we get to eat it. There was a time that Kalo wanted to be genetically modified, and if you know Jerry Konanui, some other people on the other islands as well that were pushing to stop and made a bill to not genetically modify Kalo, meaning put other plants, strawberry cells into Kalo, and do those kinds of things. And so the bill passed, but it can only be that way for X amount of years. So as we continue, to fight for keeping the natives and not do GMO to it, it's an ongoing issue for us to just keep that. And we understand that if we change the genetics of something native to us, then we end up changing the genetics of who we are, and that's not a good thing. How do you cook the Kalo, Pono?
We boil it. Woo!
Boil it. How else can you do it?
You can also steam it. Yeah.
Boil it, steam it, bake it, and cook it just like a potato. How you would do a potato? We emu it. We turn the emu. Today, I grew up at a time when it was just poi and ipa, and then as I started to get, in my 30s and get more sophisticated, people that makes poke out. Like today, we have variety, chips, poke, all these things, And I'm not gonna lie, at one time, I thought it was a sin to do that to the Kalo. So, Ovai Oi, who are you? Tell us a little bit about who you are. As well as a Kalo farmer, kui iyer, poi eater. Tell us a little bit about who you are.
What do you call it? My family's from here. We have a property like down the road a little bit more. And I live right now in Oahu.
Hey, what's the name of the property down the road? What Aina? What Hipana? What Ahupa? Like me, Poho Iki Aya, but where are you on from?
Kalo.
Look, because these guys know this. These guys drive back and forth.
Yeah.
These guys, they know this coast, right? You say, I'm sorry, and then you play cool.
Yeah. I like to play tennis. This is the only sport I play.
What sport?
Tennis.
Awesome tennis player. What else? Oh, wait. Who are you?
Great person.
Right? What else?
That's pretty much it.
You want me to say?
Sure.
He's awesome. He's good. He's a percussionist. He's a tennis player. He's not any old tennis player. He's a fine tennis player. He's the son of this beautiful lady here. His mom, Pasha. His dad is a musician as well. Has a dog named Luca. What else? He also comes to Kumu our summer program we have here. And he practices his Hawaiian stuff, he dances hula, chants, he does funny things. This is just one of his favorite things like me. I don't, he's probably the only, the youngest person and probably one of the only people I know that are as passionate as me. Maybe not as passionately, but pretty close as me to Kalo. Yeah, how we feel about Kalo. His huli went from the lo'i to the dry land. And so the conditions was a little bit clean, but, you know, like calling people, they adapted. And after usually, anytime you transition from wetland to dry land, it takes like 2 or 3 generations for it to adapt. So the Kalo will go small, and then after you go by, it gets bigger after the next generation. So you take 2-3 generations. If we go backwards from dry land to wetland, it's not always it'll take, because it's just such a dramatic change in the environment to adapt to. But the percentage is lower in success rate for it to go back. And then when they do, they take a longer time to actually produce good Kalo. And when I say good Kalo, it should be at least anywhere from half a pound to a pound, and being able to produce that much, you know, because, you know, if you want to plant Kalo and something you want it, and you can do this for 9 months to 12 months, you want to make sure all that energy and effort at the end was well worth. So you harvest a Kalo. The only way to get a seedling is from a Kalo, right? We take off the corm, we take off the leaf, yeah, and then that becomes a huli. Huli means to turn. Now, what was the plant? And then we took the food source, the leaf and the corm, and now this stalk becomes the huli. It turns and now becomes a seedling. And that's the only way you can produce. That's how we've been producing it generations. You have to have a Kalo to produce a Kalo. Yeah. So anyway, when you plant the huli, the Kalo grows, and it grows from small, and then as it matures, it grows wider. And it's just like Kalo is, if you remember now, Halo, yeah, it's like a kanaka, it's like a man. So they grow, and when they're younger stages, they need a whole lot of coolness. And they're babies, and the Kalo will start to grow small, and then they get wider and wider. And then as it gets older, when it's at this mature age, when it starts to produce babies, keikis, then it'll then show off oha. No, what's the tubers? Yeah, or shoots. Yeah, on the Kalo, and then it'll grow shoots, and then the mother will then become smaller at the top. It becomes warmer. So what you got to do too, and you lo'i, you have to produce, you know, cooler waters, different temperatures, different stages, because you want it to grow and mature and come back and be warm. Yeah, I mean the warmer stages. Just like our kupo now, when we get older, you know, we grow up young, we can handle, we're teenagers, we're strong, you know, you're sure you all good, you know, and then as we mature, as people mature, we start to get colder, and you want to be colder, you want to be inside. Same like the Kalo. They have very similar characteristics on how to care for it. And then at the end, you want it super warm. So even in our lo'is in the valley, say, to maintain the water level temperature, and how we bring it in, and how we let it out, and how we manage the temperature to the water in different stages, acquires the different stages of the Kalo. But not only not the shape we're going through, is also the stages of Kalo, so that the different starches and sugars, yeah. Because you want to have a Kalo, and most likely this shape is a Kalo that has an equal amount of starch and sugar. And as you notice, it starts to coagulate, and it does its thing when you cool it. Yeah, so the action, the thing, it all, when you palm the poi with the starch and the sugars at its right balanced Kalo, then it inoculates, and then it causes that, like I said, the minerals and things to bind, and then it causes the nutritional value to become higher. But I've been studies on it, and you can read up on it. There's a lot out there today. So like, we much rather eat poi this way than through a champion juicer or to some other device bullet, only because the inoculating of the essence of the Kalo. This is the koi. He's koiing the Kalo.
I just swear a
The
lot.
Pono, the Aina, and him and Kanaka is a very symbolic to who we are as people. Yeah, to have the land, to have the rock of the land, and then to have Kanaka, and then to eat something of the god. Yeah. So in this imagery is who we are actually, and what we try to achieve. And as you can hear the sound, it's called Ulika. And so those things inspire us. But that gives love and aloha. We talk about aloha and the reciprocation of something. It's what may seem as simple as this is very profound. We give it a name. But the pohaku is called pohaku ku'iai. Everybody say pohaku ku'iai. Yeah. And then the board is called papa ku'iai. Yeah, a papa ku'iai. And so we do. Hawaiians, or us, even in lo'is and tar patches or gardens, we name them because, it has a characteristic. We're like any other person, a family member, right? We treat them as if, and we start to give the name. We even give them names like Pupuka and, Kukumanga, my grandson. But we give them names because we build relationship. Yeah? And that's what it is. The pohaku is an extension of who he is. Therefore, he names it and he builds a relationship. And same with the board, same with the garden. And it's very common for Hawaiian people to want to give names to things that are an extension of who we are.
Do you add the seasonings? Or do you usually put seasonings in with poi? I'm not familiar with poi.
No, we usually just eat it like that. Or eat it with salt, or you have fish on the side, or whatever you're eating. Today it's good with many things. It's almost like the rice or the poi, or the staple, the staple on the starch on the plate, the potato, and that kind of look at like that.
Is it nutritional content?
I think it does because there's some stuff I read, some studies people did about the inoculating, at the pounding. It inoculates and it binds certain minerals in the poi. And so, hence the reason why the preferred this way versus through a commercialized processing that goes through a thing. But then also culturally, it brings value because of the connection for him to the board, to the oil, and that month and the energy into it.